All right, so we're back with another deep dive.
Yeah.
And this time, it's Wolves taking on Arsenal.
Always a good one.
Yeah, it is. And especially this time, you've got a team down at the bottom of the table scrapping for points to stay in the Premier League.
Right.
And you've got a team at the top
Yeah.
who are dreaming of, winning the whole thing.
Yeah, absolutely. A real clash of styles, I think, as well, when you look at it, you know?
Yeah, and
I mean, Wolves, obviously.
yeah, and the thing that makes this one even more interesting is that recent form for both these teams is kind of all over the place.
Well, that's it, yeah. You look at Wolves and they've not won in 4.
Right.
But Arsenal are on this unbeaten run.
Yeah.
So it's a real kind of, like you say, clash of narratives going into this one.
So let's start with Wolves then.
Okay.
Just above that relegation zone.
Yep.
And not 1 in 4.
Mm-hmm.
And looking at some of the pre-match analyses, it seems like the big concern for them is this real difficulty they have with playing the top teams.
Absolutely. I mean, it's one thing not winning in 4, but then when you look at their record against the top 8, I mean, only 1 draw in 11 games against the top 8 teams. That's a worry, isn't it?
It's a huge worry. And the other thing as well is that, you look ahead in the fixture list, and it doesn't get any easier for Wolves.
No, absolutely not. I mean, it's a real tough run-in for them. And, you talk about that record against the top 8. Well, their next 4 fixtures are all against top 8 teams. So this is a massive, massive part of the season for them.
Okay, so you said there this idea or this kind of clash of narratives.
Yeah.
And you've got these sort of, historical trends which are going against Wolves in this one.
Yeah.
I mean, I was looking at some of the stats, and there's one that really kind of jumped out at me.
Yeah. Well, you've got the one about the only 2 times that Wolves have lost their first 4 games.
Oh, yeah.
In a calendar year.
Yeah.
Both times the 4th defeat was against Arsenal.
Okay, so that's
make of that what you will.
I mean, I'm a Wolves fan, and I'm starting to get a bit worried here.
I can imagine, yeah.
So, all right, let's flip it over to Arsenal then.
Okay.
The other side of this clash of narratives, as you called it.
Yeah.
Unbeaten in 12 in the league. That's impressive by any measure.
Yeah, I mean, 12 games unbeaten,
Yeah.
You can't argue with that.
No, you can't.
But I think it's that Villa game, isn't it?
Yeah, the 2-0 up.
2-0 up, yeah.
And
to draw that.
For them to come back and get a point out of that.
Yeah. And I mean, okay, you can say they're unbeaten in 12, but then you think, well, if they'd have, held on to that lead, then they'd be, even further ahead. And, they are still chasing the title, aren't they?
Yeah.
So, those dropped points could be crucial.
And then right after that as well, they had the Champions League game.
Yeah.
Where they were absolutely dominant.
Yeah. I mean, they were fantastic in that, weren't they?
Yeah.
But I think that's what's frustrating for Arsenal fans at the moment is that they know their team can be that good.
Yeah.
But they're not doing it consistently enough in the league.
Right.
So yeah, I mean it's an interesting one because they're unbeaten, but you've got to turn those, some of those draws into wins.
Yeah, and for a team who's chasing the title, like you said, dropping points to teams lower down the table,
especially
they can't afford to do that.
Well, that's the thing, and you look at this game against Wolves. Well, Arsenal haven't lost to Wolves in something like 7 league games.
7, I mean, wow.
So I mean, at that point, it's not just, a blip, is it? That's a pattern.
So is it a tactical thing then?
I don't know. Is it
or is it
psychological?
Yeah, Arsenal just got Wolves' number.
I mean, it's tough to say, isn't it? But 7 games is a long time to have that kind of record against a team.
Yeah.
So there's got to be something there, hasn't there?
Yeah. So.
And I mean, I guess the question is, can Wolves do anything to break that this time around?
Yeah, well, and speaking of things to break, one of the things I'm really fascinated to see in this one is Matt Doherty.
Oh, yeah.
Up against his old team.
Former Spurs player.
Yeah. I mean, it's always a bit spicy when a player comes up against a team that he used to play for.
Yeah, it adds a little bit of extra edge, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I remember, I think it was back in the 18-19 season, Doherty actually scored against Arsenal.
Yeah, he did, actually. Yeah, good memory.
So he knows how to do it.
He does, and I think this is an interesting one tactically as well, because if you look at Arsenal this season, they've conceded a lot of goals from defenders.
Really?
Yeah, a league-high number, actually. And I think...
So why is that, Dave?
Well, a lot of analysts have pointed to the fact that their fullbacks, They push really high up the pitch.
Right.
They're very attacking.
Yeah.
And that can sometimes leave space behind them, for the opposition to exploit on the counterattack. And I think, Wolves will be looking at that thinking, well, if Doherty can get forward and, get on the end of some crosses, that could be a real avenue for them to, cause some problems.
Okay, but, they say the best form of defense is attack.
Yeah.
And when it comes to Arsenal, they've got some real firepower.
Absolutely.
And I know we were talking the other day about Trossard and
yeah,
and how he seems to just love playing against Wolves.
He does, yeah. I mean, 8 goal contributions in Premier League games against them.
Really? 8?
Yeah.
That's not a coincidence?
I mean, it's more than a coincidence, isn't it? I mean...
That's crazy.
Yeah, I think what makes Trossard so dangerous against Wolves is that, Wolves, they often sit back and they defend deep, and he's so good at finding those little pockets of space, between the lines, and he's got quick feet, and he's intelligent with his passing, so... I think he's definitely one to watch in this game.
And it's those individual battles, isn't it, that sometimes can really swing a game.
Absolutely. It's, you've got the team tactics, but then you've got these little individual duels going on all over the pitch, and they can really make the difference.
Okay, you ready for this one?
Hit me.
So I was looking at the stats for this game, and I found something absolutely mind-blowing.
Okay.
Arsenal have scored in their last 34 matches against Wolves.
What?
That's across all competitions.
30.
That dates back to 1979.
No way.
I know.
That is unbelievable. I mean, that is just...
It's crazy.
That is just remarkable, isn't it?
That is just remarkable.
Over that period of time, different Arsenal teams...
Different managers.
Different players.
Yeah.
Different styles of play.
Different everything.
But they've always found a way to score against Wolves.
I mean, what does that even mean?
I don't know. Is it something about Arsenal's style of play that just, really suits playing against Wolves? Or is it, I don't know, is it some kind of psychological thing?
Yeah.
But it's an incredible stat.
It's just crazy.
It really is.
It really is. So just to quickly kind of recap then, for anyone who's just joining us.
Yeah.
Wolves desperately need a win.
Yeah.
They especially need a win against a top team to kind of boost their chances of staying up.
Absolutely.
And Arsenal, they're chasing the title.
Yep.
They need to find that consistency.
Yeah.
And if history's anything to go by, we could be in for a high-scoring game.
Yeah, it looks that way, doesn't it?
Essentially.
Right.
So it's going to be a fascinating match.
Yeah, it's a proper David versus Goliath clash, isn't it? And I think for me, the big question is, can Wolves do something that they haven't done in a long time, and that's beat one of those top teams?
Yeah.
Can they break that streak and, give themselves a bit of breathing space at the bottom of the table? Or is that Arsenal firepower just going to be too much for them?
Yeah, well, we've given you the information. We've given you the insights. Now it's your turn. So let us know in the comments, what would you do if you were the manager?
Yeah, what are your tactical tweaks?
Who are you starting?
Who are you benching?
Yeah. How are you approaching this game?
Let us know.
Let us know.
We want to hear your thoughts.
All right. We'll see you next time.
See you later.